Hey there, everybody. If you're just getting started, if you're just joining us, we're going to get started at about 1 o'clock. But please look at the chat, the YouTube chat, say hello, tell us who you are, tell us why you're here, and maybe talk about some of the topics of today's chat so we can help answer any of your questions. If you have questions about class or any of the courses on togetherlearning.com, please share your questions in that chat as early as possible so we can get all your questions answered during today's lunch chat. But in the meantime, grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable. We'll get started in a few minutes. See you soon. Hey, gang. Welcome to the live stream chat Thursday. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes, but I invite you to put your links, or not your links, your comments. Tell us who you are, why you're here, any questions you might have in the chat, and I will, answer them as quickly and as best as I can. Even before we get started, that's okay too. If you want to say hello, tell us who you are, and try and get a discussion going. We do have a couple of topics we'll get through today. But anyway, we're going to get started in just 2 or 3 minutes. Please say hello and put something in the chat in the meantime so we can get our discussion going. Today's discussion is about creating video. So if you're a new Media Lab class of mine, this is going to be particularly useful for you today. Okay, see you soon. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's Thursday lunch live stream chat. I'm streaming from my home here in Katsura in Kyoto. And we have a kind of a exciting lineup for you today. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff, but mainly the topic that I'd hope to discuss today, outside of any questions you might have, of course, for any of the classes at togetherlearning.com or Kyoto University of Foreign Studies or any other students around the world taking classes with me this semester. Talking about creating video. And I teach a class called New Media Lab at the Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. It's also available on togetherlearning.com. And in that class, we talk about creating new media. We talk about creating media as a form of communication, as a form of marketing, what it means to communicate, creating video and graphics, and even things like augmented and virtual reality. So if you're taking that particular class with me, this is going to be extremely useful for you today because I'm going to be giving a short presentation about the steps to go through to make a great video presentation. And then I'm going to live demonstrate to you. I'm going to make a video in this video to show you how easy it is to get started creating and editing video for your classes, for your video presentations. And in the future, you're going to be using this for video interviews and your job and to promote yourself and to communicate with your teams. Video is becoming just a big skill for everyone to have. We're communicating more with video these days, more than ever. So that's the main thing for us to talk about today. As you come in to watch, I'd really love to hear about you in the chat. We have the chat going. It's below this video in the YouTube Live. If you're watching on a smartphone, you might have to scroll down a little bit. But if you take a look there, I'll be putting some links and some resources through the course of today so you can follow along or follow up later with some extra information and you can learn a little bit more about what's going on here. So I would love for you, though, to help us with the discussion as we go across today. Something that you want to learn about, some question that you might have about classes that you're taking with me or about video editing and creation in general. And please, as you come in and watch the chat, watch the stream today, I would love for you just to come in and say, hi, my name is something, something, I'm from something, something, and I'm taking your class and something, something, or anything. So I can get an idea of who's watching and how to best tailor this live stream to the audience, to you guys. And so I'll just type something in here real quick. Hello, everyone. Got an E there. That's cool. And I'm going to be coming back to the chat every now and again to see who's watching and who has questions and maybe comments and discussion about who you are and who's joining us today. I'm going to flash up a quick screen right now, and it will give us some discussion topics. Now, these are something I'd really like you to try and answer and put in the chat over the course as well. I'm going to give maybe a short 10-15 minute presentation, and I would like you to try to answer these questions as I tell you the steps of going through and creating a good video presentation, perhaps for class or for your job or whatever. So please just take 1 minute to read these discussion questions and try to answer them. If not now, you don't have to answer all of them, but try to pick 1 or 2 of these questions to answer so we can get a discussion going around creating video for your purposes. Okay, so I'm going to flash the screen up here for 1 minute. I'll be right back and try your best to think about these questions as we talk about today in today's live lunch chat session. Welcome. All right, did everyone get a good look at those discussion questions? So creating a video, these are some kind of core questions you have to ask yourself. And so if you're watching this live stream, maybe you have something you want to say, some video you'd like to create, something you'd like to share with the world. And these are some of the core, the most basic, essential questions you kind of have to think about, to go through in your mind and answer to make that video presentation, to make that video communicate what you want to share with the world as best as possible. And so as I go through the steps today about creating video, and I'm going to demonstrate creating a video live on the stream today, try your best to answer some of those questions and put them into the chat, and I can help you comment on some of the things that you want to create in a video or some other live broadcast or something like that. And so just to reiterate on some of those questions in the live chat, the questions are, what do you want to say? So when you create a video, you're trying to tell a story, basically. And it could be to market a tourism destination. It could be to help sell a product. It could be just to introduce yourself to the world, right? But the best way to go about that is to think about it like telling a story. You're going to tell an audience a story, and you're going to figure out what that audience is, how to best tell that question. So what do you want to say in a video? Think about that and maybe put something in the chat. Next thing is because it's video, on top of the story, which is probably the most important thing, you communicate what you want to communicate with the design and the visuals and the pictures and the colors and the video cuts that you put into your video. So if you can start to kind of visualize your story and connect it to colors, to designs, to pictures, to symbols, and then you could start to brainstorm some of that things, maybe put some of those ideas you have into the chat as well. And the last question for the discussion today is, how will you gather and edit your assets? So that's a big part of video editing, right? You have to find images, you have to go out and shoot some video, you have to record some audio maybe, or you have to find these things on the internet somehow, right? And then after you gather all of these assets, how do you think you're going to edit it? You're going to edit it on your phone, or maybe put just something together on a PC that you have at home, or maybe use a cloud service like I'm going to introduce to you today, like WeVideo that we're going to try out, right? So please try your best to think about those questions and put them into the chat as I go through today's session. Okay? Well, no one's really said hello yet so far in the chat, so I'm going to start a short presentation for you about creating video presentations. Right? So think of this as like a super short masterclass for creating videos, right? I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff today, there's a lot of things that you can study, that you can learn, that you can practice to become a good videographer, to become a good video editor. But the thing is, you don't really need to be good at all of the stuff to start creating video. It's kind of a fun thing. It's something I really enjoy. And if you're here at this live stream, it's probably something that you think you might enjoy or already enjoy doing already as well. So I'm going to refer to a couple of things that we're studying in one of my classes. I'm going to show you a bunch of things that you can look into later on my YouTube videos, YouTube channels, about learning deeper into this process of videography and video editing. So if you think this is too much, this is just basically go through the steps and kind of get a general idea of the process of creating a great video presentation. Okay, right. So first, to start off, anybody can make video. Anybody can become great at videography. Anybody can do it. So sometimes when you start off, especially in the software, some people aren't that great at using computers, or some people need some practice at doing some camera angles or getting video or making sure the audio sounds right and things like that. That'll just come over time. But all you really need to do is just start trying it. And you learn a lot just by attempting to do it. So don't worry about having the right equipment. Some people start worrying, oh, I need to buy a good camera, or I need to get some audio recording equipment, or I need to upgrade my PC so I can edit things. Don't worry about any of that. Just most everybody has a phone. It's got a camera in it. That's all you need to get started, right? It takes a bit of practice and trial and error. You're going to mess up the video from time to time. It's not going to look like it might look in your imagination. If you have the imagination to see the video beforehand, you're already halfway there. So as you go through the process of creating video, you might run into a couple of bumps here and there. That's part of the fun. This is more of an art than anything else. So please think of it as fun, and think of you're going to make some mistakes, definitely. And in making those mistakes, you're going to learn in the process, right? I'm going to be showing a bunch of different software and maybe talking about equipment here and there in this video, but you don't need any of that. And if you're a student and Kyoto University of Foreign Studies, or you're a student taking courses on togetherlearning.com, you have access to something called WeVideo, which is free, and there are other free software out there that you can use. You can get started right away for free. And most importantly, right here on the bottom, you just have to have something to share. If you want to share a video or create a video or show something in the world, maybe you want to share a location of your favorite tourist destination, or you want to share a project that you've done, or you're taking a class and you want to share a video presentation with your classmates. It's all about sharing. It's all about showing the world, showing your classmates, showing your friends something that you want to share. And that's really at the core of it. So think about that thing that you want to share and the story that goes behind it. And remember, anybody can do it. Anybody can make videos. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next part here. All right, so there's some basic steps that we can do, that we can think about when we go to create video, right? First of all, you want to think about your story, what you want to tell, what you want to show your audience. And in this phase, you're usually thinking about your audience and what kind of things you want to craft to tell them, to show them. Then you're going to think about that story and how you might want to best represent it with the visuals of your video, with the audio of your video, what kind of colors and things you want on it. Then after you kind of know the look that you're going for, or the design or the colors, and et cetera, then you're ready to go out and start collecting assets, meaning going on the internet and downloading pictures, or going out into the world and recording video and audio, or filming yourself recording and saying the things that you want to tell in your video presentation. After you have all your assets, you're going to organize them, put them all together, and edit them in a way that makes sense, that tells the story in a nice, concise way, and it's super simple and easy to understand. And then last, of course, you're going to share that, which means you need to understand a little bit about the technical aspects of saving and sending your file. What kind of format do you want to save your file? How do you share it? How do you save it on the internet to broadcast? What's the best way to upload to YouTube? Things, little technical issues to help you share that out. But that's not really the hard part. But first, you just basically have to have the desire to share it, or know where you want to share it, right? So these are the 5 basic steps: story, design, assets, editing, sharing. Okay? How are we doing so far, guys? I'm going to check in with the chat here. Looks like no one said hello just quite yet. That's okay. Remember, we have our discussion questions. As I talk about today, you can start to think a little bit more about these. All right, so those were the discussion questions. You can find them in the chat. I'm watching it, so if you have any things to add to the discussion, please do so. All right, so step number one, just go a little bit deeper, is your script, right? And it's not important in my mind to make sure that you have every word verbatim for your script laid out, and this is what the words you're going to say. Some people really like that, need that. They want to be precise with their words. Sometimes it's necessary, but for most cases, for most situations, that's really not necessary. The reason that you're going to write a script is to make you think deeper about your idea and how you're going to tell your story about your video, to make you sit down and brainstorm the things in the process and the order of the information that you want to tell your audience. This forces you to sit down and think a little bit more deeply about, okay, so I wanted to explain this, and then maybe I can explain this way. Writing that script out forces you to go through that thought process so you can clearly understand what you want to tell to your audience. After a while, and maybe you might not need a script anymore. I've been making hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube. I skipped this, honestly, I skipped this many times for making my own videos because I'm just so practiced. A lot of times I will just make a PowerPoint presentation, and that forces me to think about what I want to say. For example, this PowerPoint today I just made maybe 10-15 minutes before the live broadcast today, because I just wanted to get into my head all the things that I wanted to tell you about video editing and creating videos. Right, so when you make this script, you're going to think about your audience. Who are you giving this information to? Who is going to watch this video? And because you're going to think about that audience, you're going to tailor that information for that audience. So make sure that that audience is getting the information they need. For example, I'm giving information to you about video editing, so I'm assuming that you don't know a lot about video editing, so I'm giving it at the most simplest form possible. If I'm doing this again for some video editors that are more advanced, they've already practiced, they've already maybe taken my New Media Lab class or my New Media Marketing class, I'm going to change that message so that the basic information is either skipped over or it's just at a very minimum explained, so we can talk about the more nuanced details of video editing. And very important, try to focus your idea down into some simple creative way. A lot of times when we make videos, we have so much information we want to share, so many things, so many topics that we see in our mind that's connected to this, and we want to make sure that we get it all out into the video. Sometimes that can be distracting, so it's best to try to narrow your focus, laser in on the one message, the one idea, the one concept you want to bring to the forefront of your video. And like that, at the very end here, so you might throw it away, right? You don't have to read your script. If what happens with a lot of people, I do this often too, I'll write a script, it'll make me think about the process, think about what I want to say, and then I'll throw it away. And then I'll do my presentation live. It sounds more natural. I'm not necessarily remembering everything word for word I'm going to say, but I've thought about it deeply enough to where I can go through and give my presentation and it sounds natural. So think about maybe doing that. So after you write your script, don't try to read it, because if I read something, you can see your eyes, and that's very obvious if you're doing a presentation like me where you're in front of the camera. Think about throwing it away and just using a couple of cue cards or a couple of visual cues to help you remember what you wrote originally in your script. All right? So that's the first step. Let's talk about the next step. Design, right? Now, the design of your video, the look of your video has a lot of different elements involved. And this is the fun, artsy part of creating video, because the colors, the fonts, the arrangements, how you cut the scenes together, how the video is arranged inside of that video. There's so many creative choices that you can make to make that what you want to say come out in a different way. That's why filming and directing films is many times so interesting, and the people that can often tell a story without saying a word, just by where the camera is placed in the video and the movement of the camera, or what you show, or a face and its location and then another face. You can say a lot just by arranging and showing different colors and fonts and things like that. And in my class, New Media Lab, we talk about what these things mean. We talk about communicating with images. We talk about the meaning of color and color palettes, and how colors can get arranged together to communicate different things, to look appealing, right? And when you get all that said and done, then you're going to maybe do some storyboarding. Storyboarding is a process in film making where it's like a script, but it's a script for the visuals. You draw a little, you could use a pencil and paper. Sometimes you can use something like a PowerPoint to just kind of start mapping out in your frame of your video where you want the elements to be, right? So I want one person talking to another person for this scene, and they're going to say this and this. And then the next scene, we're going to show where they are, maybe in a drone shot, if you're fancy, and things like that. Next shot, we're going to have person A walking away from person B, and kind of getting an idea of the things you're going to show in a storyboard. So colors, palettes, design, storyboard, that's all very kind of unique stuff, and you can find more about it on the Together Learning YouTube channel, which is the channel that you're watching right now in this live stream. There's a whole bunch of videos here, and also some extra videos that are in the courses that I teach. Like, for example, there's a one here called Understanding Digital Color, Graphic Design Basics. There's a whole bunch of videos. There's camera angles and movements here to help you understand some of that stuff. If you're taking New Media Lab, you're watching those videos already to help get an understanding, a deeper understanding of the design of these things. But if you want to know more, either take that class with me or keep showing up on Thursday. We're bound to talk about it in detail at some point. Okay, let's go back to the presentation here. How's everybody doing? Everybody getting all their questions answered? Everybody had anything to say, anything to add to the conversation so far? Have you thought about those discussion questions? I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. Just to remind everybody, the discussion we're having today is about creating video, and we have these discussion topics. If you have a video that you would like to make or thinking about making, please try and answer these questions in the chat. All right. Let's see here. Now, let's go to the third step, which is to gather your assets. So you've got your script, you got your story, what you want to say. You've kind of thought about the visuals and how you're going to represent that story in a video format. Now you're going to need to gather all the things you need to tell that story, all the pictures, all the video, all the audio, all the other perhaps maybe 3D models and graphics and fonts and all this other media that goes into creating a video. There's an astonishing amount of different kinds of media that you could gather in this process. But a couple of things that we'll learn in the classes I teach, as well as some of the videos that I just talked about, is best ways to go about gathering media. So if it's already out there in the world, there's no real need for you to go out and shoot it or take a picture of it, unless you really want to. Some people really enjoy the process of filming things, setting things up, maybe doing costumes or backgrounds or props and things like that, and actually filming it yourself. But there's so much more already out there in the world. You can go out and grab it and use it in your videos. But you got to make sure that it's royalty free, meaning that it's legal for you to use it. There's something called Creative Commons media where you can use it, but there's some stipulations to that. There's some things that you have to do. Maybe you can't make money on it, or maybe you can't share it without giving credit to the person that made it. Creative Commons is a very easy way to understand the limitations of using somebody else's media. Fair use of copyrighted material. So if you want to show little clips of your favorite movie, that's usually okay, especially if you're commenting on it, doing commentary about it, commenting on the film and why you like it. It's called fair use, and we're able to legally use little bits of, copyrighted material, but you have to be careful with that. You can't use it too much, and you can't use it in the wrong way. So if you want to learn more about fair use, Creative Commons, royalty-free media, you're going to learn about it in New Media Lab, or you can go on to my YouTube channel, learn a little bit more about that. Then if you can't find what you need, you're going to have to go out and film what you need. So that takes a whole scheduling and process yourself. Sometimes it's just you, so you need to go out and film a location of maybe if you're doing a tourism location, go out and film that, or you need to film yourself giving your presentation. Then maybe you just record some audio. Maybe you can show some video of this place that you're going, and then just record the audio to listen to over it. You take pictures. You can just show a picture in video for a little while. That's fine. Or you can be in front of a picture using a green screen or some other way to edit that video. We can also talk about that in detail in the video editing process. But most importantly, you're going to want to gather and organize those assets. Put them somewhere, place maybe on your computer or in the cloud, on a Google Drive or on a thumb drive, where you have them all in one place, and so you know how to get to them, how and where those assets are, and you can import them into your video, which I'm going to demonstrate in today's lunch chat as well. All right, and then after you got all your assets together, then you're going to edit and format that video. You're going to think about how to cut it all together. You're going to put in maybe some titles, some graphics, what's called a lower third. This kind of closed caption that's writing the words that I say, so you can kind of better understand. That's like a low. It's called a lower third. It's on the lower third half of the screen. And so a lot of times when you're talking about something or you're showing a certain person, you see this often in documentaries, there's a lower third there telling the name of who's talking or the topic they're talking about or where they're from or something like that. B-roll is a very, very common and useful thing when you're doing video. It's when you're showing something, you show something off to the side or some close-up of the thing that you're talking about. So sometimes it's very important to cut away and show that B-roll, that not just see you talking for the entire presentation, but cut away to show some video of something that you're talking about, something related, to break it up a little bit. Maybe you can have some background music, and very important, that last thing here is voice track. The sound of your voice and being able to hear your voice clearly is many ways more important than the video. You can worry about having high quality video, 4K, high vision, whatever you want to call it. But if you can't hear your voice and hear it well, we get turned off. We don't want to keep watching, because the sound of your voice, if we can hear it clearly and understand it, is one of the most important things in making a pleasant video that you want to continue watching. Okay, so those are the things that you're going to think about and do during the editing portion. And then last, you get to share it with the world. That video editing, depending on how experienced you are, how many times you've gone through that process, might take the longest amount of time, because many of you will have to actually learn the video editing tools while you're trying to edit your video. But don't worry, like I said, that stuff comes in time. It comes with practice. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more creative stuff you get to try and have fun with. If you are watching this stream and you making a video right now, we would love to show your video on our live streams, help you share it with the world. So just put a hashtag on it wherever you put it in social media, Together Learning. And if you're a Cuffs University student, you can hashtag CuffsGT or CuffsGS, and I'll find it and I'll either make a comment or help share it with everyone else to see all the cool stuff you guys are creating. Okay, I have tons of videos, of awesome videos that you guys are creating I'm always blown away by the stuff you guys do, and I really want to help you share it with the world. So please, help me help you share it with the world. Just put a hashtag on it when you share it on social media, and I'll try my best to keep finding it. Okay, well, that is the basics which I wanted to share for creating a video presentation. Does anybody have any questions up until this point? If you do, please put them in the chat. We also have our discussion that's going on. Now that you know the 5 major steps of creating a video, from crafting your story, creating a script, to helping design your visuals and your storyboarding, to then going out and filming and gathering your organizing your assets, and then to the editing portion of it, and then of course formatting and sharing that video with the world. What kind of story did you want to share with the world? If you could make that video, what kind of design things are you thinking about in your videos? What kind of edit cuts? Is there an inspiration that you have? Often when we want to edit video, there's an inspiration. We watch a movie that we really enjoy, and it's got some cool effects or some interesting way that the person's telling a story. It's okay to try and copy and try those things out. You only get better by doing that. So if you have something that you want to try, or some idea that you had, please put it in the chat here, and we'll talk about it. Of course, if you're a student in any of my classes and you have any questions, I'm still looking to see if you guys have anything, and I'll keep tracking that chat to see if we have any questions coming in. Okay, well, that is your short presentation on the very, very basics of video creation. And now what I'd like to do is I'm going to create a video live right now in front of you from scratch. I'm going to start from zero. I'm going to go to a video editor online. You're going to watch me pull in the assets. I'm going to explain how the whole process of creating a video, the editing process. I've already done, kind of in my mind at least, the script and the design, and I've collected some assets. Now I'm just going to show you what it's like, what it might look like for you to go through that editing and formatting and sharing process using something called WeVideo. WeVideo is a online editing tool. There's also a smartphone application that you can get on your smartphone. Fortunately, it's not free, but it is really useful, and especially if you don't have a very robust PC. This is a great option because it's all in the cloud. All the assets are managed on a hard drive somewhere else, not on your computer. All the processing happens somewhere else, not on your computer. One thing I forgot to mention is video editing is very computational heavy, meaning making video, exporting video is sometimes 30 to 60 pictures in every second. And depending on how big and what high resolution you have, there's a lot of information to process. The normal movie on a DVD is between 2 and 5 gigabytes of information. And so if you're creating a video and you want to edit things and add bits of information and graphics here and there, it can be very taxing on a computer. So most professional video editors need to buy a very expensive computer with some very, high graphical processors in it, like a gaming PC, high-end gaming PC, to actually process this video. So this WeVideo is a great option because you can just use a website and all that processing happens not on your computer but somewhere else. So it's very minimal on your PC. So that's why I've chosen this as one of the options. All right. So there are other options you can do. Let me actually show you just one more that I recommend if you want to learn how to do video editing with a more complex tool. There's something called DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve. It's free. and it is super, super, super powerful. You can download it for free. There's a PC. I believe there's a Mac version as well. And it's some of the most professional video editors in the world use this free software. It's by a company called Blackmagic. They make cameras and professional video equipment, and this is part of their way to promote their equipment, their cameras, because it's all integrated in their stuff. But it's some of the greatest video editing tools available, and it's for free. Although you can buy things to add to it to make all these kind of cool effects and things like that. But if you want to try a professional video editor and you don't want to spend a lot of money, because Adobe Premiere Pro and Sony Final Cut, those things are a little bit expensive to buy, this is what I recommend you try, DaVinci Resolve. But for today, we're going to be doing WeVideo. Again, if you're a CUFS student or if you're on Together Learning, this will be available to you as part of the course, right? All right, so you'll need to log in, which I've already done. And then you get sent to this screen. I'm going to turn this off for a second because I want to show you around this screen, because this is the screen. No matter what software editing program that you have, it looks very similar to this. All right, we're looking at WeVideo, but if you use Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve, which I just said, it looks just like this. It's just maybe the windows are arranged a little bit differently, but there are some very common components to this that I'm going to point out for you right now. I'm going to turn this off so you can see. Okay, so right here is the preview window. Preview window. It's simple enough. It shows you what the video looks like right now. It's like a preview of the video that you're editing. So you can go back and see how this fits with that and what your movie looks like. Now, in the preview window, it might not show you the complete high-res version that you would see at the very end after you export and share your video, but it's going to give you a good idea of what you're making, what the elements look like together. Like when we make things, we usually layer videos on top of each other, and you can get an idea of what you're creating in the preview window, right? Right, so that's one major component. There are three major components to every video editor: preview, assets, timeline. I'll do that one more time. Preview, assets, timeline. You can see kind of three sections in the screen behind me, right? Let me get big here so I can point that out. Here's the preview screen. Here's the assets manager. And down below in this long bar down here is the timeline. And they're all very important things. And again, you're going to find these in all video editors, no matter what you do, even on ones that you get on your smartphone, and all the professional editors as well. They might have extra bits and extra windows to do extra things, but these are the main things in almost every video editor, right? So the preview window, like I just said, is going to preview what your video looks like. You can watch different parts of it, scrub back and forth between the video and preview what it looks like. The next is your asset manager. Remember, I told you that one of the big steps to making video is getting all your audio, your video, your pictures, your graphics together. And this is where you can get all your assets. So after you gather your assets, you're going to upload them, in this case, to WeVideo. If you're using something else like DaVinci Resolve, you're going to put those on your hard drive or on a thumbstick somewhere. You can find them and import them into the software. So now you can start to use these assets and put them in right here in the timeline, right? And the timeline is basically just that. It's the video in time. And usually every video shows maybe 30 to 60 pictures every second. And you can just see the time right by here. So what I'm pointing to right now says 1 minute and 20. And at the very left side there, it says 0. So you can see all the different videos, all the pictures, all the graphics that get displayed in your video in a timeline from the beginning, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, to the very end, however long your video might be. So you can get an idea of all these layers of your timeline. Actually, let me show you a picture of what a populated timeline might look like, because they can get really complicated very fast. It might be interesting to see this picture. Let's see, video, timeline. Let's see if something interesting pops up. Yeah, here we go. There's a couple of interesting ones here. Right? See this? This is an example of a finished video timeline. On the very end there is 0, and all these little things that represented here are different. The audio, the green is all different types of audio, maybe some music, some narration, some sound effects that get layered in, right? And then from this point up is all different video elements. So on the bottom, there's a bottom layer, and on top of that, maybe there's some graphics, some talking head like I am now, and on top of that, maybe some lower thirds, some titles, some closed captions or things, something like that. So all these get layered on top of each other, so you can see all the different elements that are going into your video, and then you can see how they're arranged in a timeline, how they're arranged from the first part of your video all the way to the end. If I zoom in here, we can see right here, video 7, right? You can turn a video 2. So there's different videos that kind of pop in and out. So we can see here, video 1 only shows for the first, not even a second, right? And then we switch to video 2, and we go back and switch to video 1, right? We're moving back and forth between different scenes, different types of video, and different audios being, probably this is an audio to match this video, and this is audio to match this video. And maybe there might be some extra music in the background as well down here as well. Right? So that's your timeline. Oops, let me go back here. And I'm about to put some assets from my asset manager into the timeline, right? And the first thing I have here is a quick video of my daughter. She's the cutest thing on earth, so of course I'm going to use some assets. Solar. And what I'm going to do now, this is an element that I just took with my smartphone, and I've uploaded it to my asset manager. And now I'm just going to drag it right into my timeline now. So you can see video 1, these things are layered. So on the bottom is video 1, on top of that is video 2. So you can see, just like this element right now, video 1 might be this browser window, and I am video 2. I'm on top of it, right? So the same thing happens here. The very bottom layer is video 1, video 2. You can keep going up. You can have as many layers as you want. But just remember, if you put something in video 2, you're going to cover up what's in video 1. Right? So I've moved this on my timeline. I can have it start at the very beginning of the video. I can move it so it starts 10 seconds in, but that wouldn't be very cool, because then the first 13 seconds, there's nothing there. It's just blank. It's black. So I move that to the very beginning. My preview window says I'm working with a 16:9 ratio and has some other information in there, and I can preview what my video looks like so far, which is basically just a 10-second clip. It's called, right? That's great. And I have another video here of a sunrise, just to see how that looks, right? Now I put that in video 2. But I can't see it. That's because top of it, which is basically a sunrise, right? And now I can't see that anymore. Now, the coolest thing about the timeline is you can cut things up, and you can see this little scissor here. I'm going to cut this right here. I'm going to go and I'm going to scrub to a place in this video where the sun's just about to come up. And I'm going to cut. Boom. So now I've made a cut. Now I don't have one video, but I have 2 videos that I can cut between. You can delete things, I can move things around, I can stretch them. right? So the scissor, remember, cut. If you've ever seen a director, they say cut when they want the actors to stop moving. That means that that's a break in the video from one scene to the next, or one transition to the next, or one camera angle to the next. And you can, it's very easy, very intuitive. You're going to use scissors to cut that video. Right? So after you cut that video, then you can arrange things around and move them around. So I'm just going to delete this part out here. I'm going to hit the delete button. That got rid of that thing, and now I can move the other elements around. And I can move it towards here. Actually, I'll move it maybe a little bit more down the road. As that sun's going off screen, I'm going to cut it again and come back here and delete that as well. Right, so now I have two kind of videos together in my timeline. It's going to show one for the first 10 seconds, and then for another 3 seconds, it's going to show video 2. So let's see how that looks. Right, that's an abrupt cut there, but you can see how that kind of works. And this is the basic kind of process that you go through for almost all your video editing. You put in stuff from your asset to your timeline, you'll rearrange it, you'll make cuts to it, you'll move it around, and then you can start to add other things to it. Like, for example, I'm going to add a title screen, which is down over here. This is the title screen, where, let's see here, let's make something motion. Candy dots, that looks interesting. Okay, bada boom. All right, bada boom. Bada boom. So this is a title screen. If you want to show a title of your video, or maybe say something in the middle of your video, we can edit that as well. Bada boom. Great. So now I've got my bada boom there. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the sunset. That was just an example. Bada boom. That black is what's called chroma key. So below it. So that bada boom is now on top of the video that I just showed, right? That bada boom, see the black here? That's what's called alpha key or chroma key. So that black means it's transparent. And so, like I said, there's layers here. So now you can see the bada boom, and then you can see down to video 1 that's behind it. All right, let's see if I can change the editing here. So I'm going to go see here, there's a little effects and a little pencil here. Pencil is pretty much the universal icon for edit. So I'm going to edit this. And instead of bada boom, I'm going to go, where is Solar, which is my daughter's name. Where is Solar? I can change the font. Let me change the font so it looks a little different here. Right, I can make it a little bit bigger. I'll let it say up. All right. Right, so now I've changed the wording on that. Let's see how it looks now. Right, so now we kind of got a basic edit. We got a title in there. Let's maybe add some music, some background information. So we've already got one audio track, and that is the audio track of Solar going, bah. That's the audio that's connected to that video there. But we can also add some music in the background as well. So let's see here. Let's choose something mega pop music, corporate, EDM. That's a little too heavy. Romantic piano, that might be a little too soft. It's really hard to, if you ever watch a movie and you can hear the music, often, if you after you learn how about video editing, you know what the director is trying to make you feel just by listening to the music. I'm like, oh, this must be coming up on a high tense scene, or it's time to have a nice romantic scene, just because the music starts coming up. So there's a real art to mixing the music with what's going on here. All right, so now I've added some background music. I'm going to take this and drag it all the way back to the last part of my video, and I'm going to turn down that audio to make Solar's stick out a little bit more, and the level of the audio for the music in the background a little bit softer. Almost there. All right, so now I'm going to turn that down even a little bit more. It's a little bit too loud. The music in the background's a little bit too distracting. If you're making a video where you're talking, you don't want that background music to be louder than your voice. It's very distracting, so it's harder to hear. So usually background music is, you can't really, it's not loud enough for you to make you think about it actively. All right, so I've just got some very basic elements here. I have a title, Where's Solar? I have my video here. I have some background music. All right. You can add a bunch of other things like transitions, which means how you transition from one scene to another. You can add pictures and overlays and graphical things on top of it, like stickers or other augmented virtual stuff on it. There's a whole bunch of extra stuff you can do here, but I'm going to go ahead and just export this video just as it is. And I'm going to call this Where is Solar? I'm going to set it. Now I'm going to export it and share it. Choose a thumbnail. I'll just choose that one there. I want it high definition. I'm going to the video. And where do I want to put it? I'll put it, you can put it into your Google Drive or upload it to YouTube. I'm just going to add this to the WeVideo. And this takes a while to process. Again, if you had your own PC, this would take several minutes, depending on how fast your processor is, for your computer to calculate every picture and place them in a portion to create and export that video for you. And so it's going to take this video about very short. It's only a 10-second video, but it still takes WeVideo a minute and a half to process this for you. And we'll come back in a minute or so to see the result of that video. All right. A couple of things in chat. Let's check out what's going on down here. All right. Max Mad asks, will you make a video of DaVinci? A video about DaVinci? Somebody wants to learn about DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, sure. DaVinci Resolve is the advanced portion of this. If you want to learn how to use DaVinci Resolve, there's already a lot of stuff on YouTube about it. But what I've told you today in this video should really help you get started in using even DaVinci Resolve, because what I've just shown you in practice is the same workflow, is the same kind of thing, just maybe a few different clicks here and there to use between WeVideo, which I showed you today, and DaVinci Resolve, which is that kind of free software that professionals use. So if you're interested in using DaVinci, you might want to even consider using something like a WeVideo first, and then kind of grow into something a little bit more professional. If you want to jump right into DaVinci Resolve at first, just know that there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve involved with that. Like you're gonna need more time to learn where to click, how to import your assets. You might need to watch a couple of tutorial videos here and there about how to use that software, because there are so many options, so many places to move things around and change things, and so many buttons to click inside of DaVinci Resolve, because it is made for professionals. So it might take you a little bit longer to get used to using that software. So if you're not used to using software, I would recommend, at least maybe for the first couple tries, to using something simple like WeVideo to just get used to the process of going through it, and then start using something like DaVinci Resolve a little bit after that. But if you want to, if Max Mad, if you want to practice making videos in DaVinci Resolve, we're happy to do that on another lunch chat, perhaps, if there's enough people wanting to do it. Happy to make a couple of videos on Together Learning using DaVinci Resolve as well. Just to make sure that there's enough demand for that. I'm happy to play around with that with you as well. Thanks for the question. Okay, we're about close to wrapping up, but before I do wrap up today's session, we did have our topic there. And right before I get out of here, I'm going to share that video that I just created in the chat. Where is it? That's not it. Let's see here. So you can see this video for yourself if you look in the chat. And I will show it to you right now, how that video that we made together today looks. All right. So that's what we made together. Today, we did a couple of things. We talked about the steps of creating a video presentation. I did a live kind of step-by-step demonstration of using our online tool of WeVideo. And we kind of had some fun making a video together, and you got to see the end product of that video in the chat for our YouTube live session. We are about 2 minutes left in this process, and I usually like to leave the last couple minutes of the stream to make sure that you guys get a chance to ask your questions, to get something into chat that you weren't able to do, something I may have missed that you wanted some information for. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw up that Be Right Back discussion topic. So you can either try to answer those discussion topics for a minute or two, and I'll comment on them. But if not, I'll just come back on in a minute or two to say goodbye, and we'll see you again next week, okay? All right, here's your discussion topics and a chance for you to ask your questions before we end today. Okay, everybody. Big thanks for everyone showing up and watching today's lunch chat on Together Learning. We will be here every week, Thursdays, 1 to 2 p.m. Japan time, with a bunch of different topics, mainly those surrounding what's happening in our courses on togetherlearning.com, which this semester is Immersive Tourism Workshop, Game-Based Tourism, our My Hometown project, New Media Lab we're also talking about, which we talked about today. And there's a bunch of other courses that we could be discussing during our lunch chats as well. Your chance to get your questions answered, to have a chat with your classmates, and to see live demonstrations and get some extra help on whatever you might be learning together with us. All right? I gave you a chance to put the last messages or questions in the chat. If you still have them, we have our Discord server. I'm going to put that into the chat right now as well. That's at discord.togetherlearning.com. You can go there and ask the Together Learning community about your questions related to anything that we talked about today or anything else. All right? Hope to see you online, either with us at the next lunch chat or online learning together on our learning platform. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week.